Get ready. Blues Traveler and Jen Blossoms. Plus special guests, Spin Doctors. September 10th, Lordson Amphitheater at Waterworks Park. Blues Traveler, Jen Blossoms. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster. Blues Traveler and Jen Blossoms. Presented by the Willis Summer Series.
Jake Brend and Derek Duke break down everything you need to know throughout the Big 12. This is Bigger Than 12. Presented by WealthCharter Retirement Planning and Tax. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Bigger Than 12 on Iowa Everywhere.
Welcome to the Channel Seed Studios for Bigger Than 12 among the 2026 winter storm for the ages, affecting us here in Iowa with honestly pretty refreshing cold weather, but I'm probably in the minority for that take. But more importantly, it has subjected Derek Duke into a jail cell. I don't know where you at.
Yeah, I'm at the house, and normally for people that don't know, I don't record at my house just because of our internet is just shitty. So I go to my wife's office. I record there where we have high-speed internet. But I was not able to get there this morning due to the road conditions here, and probably I don't think there's power there this morning. So I didn't even bother to go over there. I kept my stuff from our Louisiana trip and decided to take a chance, stay at home, and try to do this. So if I freeze, if my voice goes away for a minute and I might be still talking, I do apologize. So hopefully next week we'll get back to a normal studio setting.
Freaking better. Can't stand you cutting in and out.
There's nothing I can do.
I don't even know what your background looks like.
It's just I got behind the plainest wall I could find.
Yeah, I was about to say,
a picture down, and that's it.
You found the most plain wall in the universe.
Yep. This is probably like the only plain wall in this house.
We're not bringing you a plain show today on Bigger Than 12. We've got a loaded slate reacting to a really good Saturday of games as Texas Tech beats Houston in a classic. AJ DeBanza goes nuts in the Holy War. KU wins flashy without Darren Peterson. Iowa State continues to roll. Arizona does the same. TCU handles Baylor. Central wins in Boulder. ASU wins the Hot Seat Bowl. We'll talk a little football, basketball, power rankings, Iowa trivia, and it's all brought to you by WealthCharter Retirement Planning and Tax. It's a perfect time of the year to hit up Tim Hawkins and his team. I'm setting up a meeting to go back there in a couple weeks and kind of finalize my portfolio and probably get started on tax season ahead. You know, being in this independent media world, the taxes get a lot more complicated than the normal, corporate world, if you will. So if you're in a similar spot to me where tax season can be complicated, or if you're just looking for help and finding ways to want to get more out of tax season, WealthCharter Retirement is a great resource for you. Oh, where should we start today? Texas Tech beating Houston. Just a really high-level basketball game. Looked like a Sweet 16, Elite 8 type game. Texas Tech 90, Houston 86 in Lubbock as they split the season series, and two games that really couldn't have been much closer.
Yeah, and the road streak now officially over for Houston. 16 straight on the road, and it ends in Lubbock in front of a great crowd there. And a Texas Tech team that is starting to kind of find its groove in the Big 12 now with their 5th straight win and their 12th straight win in Lubbock there at home. So I thought Tech set the tone in that first half with 55 points. And, of course, it was our guy JT Toppin who led the way, and that's why he's going to be my monster beast of the week.
Beast of the week.
JT Toppin, once again, my monster beast of the week, just went off for yet another big performance. 31 points, 12 boards, all 40 minutes of that game. He is the big reason why I am so high on Texas Tech. And people forget that he is the reigning Big 12 Player of the Year. This Texas Tech team, to me, is starting to really establish themselves as one of the top teams in the conference. And that win on Saturday really just solidified that for me. And now they get a little time off before they go to UCF next weekend. And I thought, just along with him, what impressed me about that win was they did it without really getting the best from Christian Anderson, as he struggled shooting the ball. He did have Petty and Will step up and help JT out, but JT was the big reason why Texas Tech won that game against Houston on Saturday in Lubbock.
I mean, just so many high-level players in this game. You've got Toppin going for 31. Kingston Flemings scores 42, and he's somehow not even in the top 2 in the Big 12 for freshmen, because you have the number 1 and number 2 overall pick in the NBA draft in the league as well. Like, the talent in this league is loaded right now. And Houston, I mean, I don't think you can really knock them for losing this game at all. They've just raised the standard and bar so high for themselves that they expect to go win these games. And if there is one coach that has given Kelvin Sampson as much trouble as anybody, it's Grant McCaslin. Texas Tech has been really good against Houston the last couple of years. It's a good matchup. They always show up. And I'd honestly say the biggest reason it's a tough matchup for Houston is probably Toppin. And not necessarily what he does offensively, but it's what he does defensively rebounding. And Houston, they're the best rebounding team in America. I don't really care what the analytics say. Once push comes to shove, I know that nobody's out-rebounding Houston when it matters. But JT Toppin is that guy. He's that guy that can go in the middle and compete with JoJo Tugler, compete with Cenac. It's really impressive what Toppin does, and Texas Tech will be able to go as far as Toppin, Anderson, and others can take them as they do get healthy. I do want to clarify that Josiah Mosley came back, played his first game of the year, hit a couple big shots, pulled down some big rebounds. So that depth issue that we talked about a month ago for Tech is figuring itself out a little bit as players ease into their roles and as they get players back from health. I still, if we're ranking the Big 12 contenders 1 through 6 on teams that can win a national championship, I'm still putting Tech 5th in that list. And that's not a slight at Tech. It's more so a Arizona, Houston, Iowa State, BYU praise more so than anything. And it starts on the defensive end for me.
Yeah, I wanted to flip it over for Houston here for a minute. You know, it really was the Kingston Fleming show all game long, 42 points. He kept him in it, and between, Kingston and Emmanuel Sharp, those two actually combined for 62 of their 86 points. They needed somebody else to probably step up in that game, and they just didn't really get it from anyone else. And speaking of Houston, they're going to be the focus for my carbless, refreshing take of the week. And it's pretty simple. Houston is going to be fine. Like, it's been almost 2 years since their last Big 12 road loss, which is just an absurd stat. And at some point, it was going to come to an end. Like, Lubbock is a tough place to play, and Tech just had that it factor on Saturday. It does suck for Houston that the streak's over, but it's still just one loss in Big 12 play. A lot of ball left. Everything is still on the table right in front of them. They're still a really good basketball team. This loss, to me, is not going to change my opinion on them. It really shouldn't change the opinion of anybody because this is still a really good basketball team. It's not going to phase them at all. I think Sampson's going to have them right back chomping at the bit next week. So I think this team's going to be fine. And, yeah, this team is still poised to make a run in March for me.
Yeah, it doesn't change what I think about Houston at all. It is really fascinating. And I should probably do a deep dive into the numbers on this, on why Houston has increased their tempo so much. They haven't dropped off defensively. I mean, I guess if you're comparing it to their own standard of being the best in America, they're 7th right now in KenPom. But their tempo it's still only 350th, but it feels like they're playing quicker. And I don't know what the eye test says against the numbers in that. I wonder if it's them not being able to dictate tempo quite the way they have been. I don't know. I'll I'll have to read into it a little bit more because as good as I do think Houston is, they have played a bit of a soft Big 12 stretch so far. Beating Texas Tech at home was super impressive. That's a great win. Losing at Tech, there's no shame in that. I'm still interested to see where they stack up against BYU, where they stack up against Arizona, where they stack up against Iowa State and Hilton Coliseum, because those will be big tests, and it still feels as good as Houston is. It still feels like there is a slight edge missing that they've had the past few years. But if you remember last year, we had that same conversation and they found the edge. So I have no doubt they're going to find it.
Yeah.
So these are more so just nitpicks more than anything. I'm not concerned about Houston in the slightest. I'm just ready to see them against another high-level team like Tech.
Yeah, they've earned the right to get the benefit of the doubt. Like we did talk about their slow start last year, and they just finished incredibly well. This is typically a program that does get better as the season goes on under Sampson. So that's why I'm not too worried. I'm not going to hit the panic button after one loss. I'm not ready to do anything like that. So we'll just see over the next couple weeks how they play, how this team handles themselves after a loss like this. But in the end, I think this team's just going to be fine.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about getting better. And when your best player, or arguably your best player, is a freshman who's playing at the level he is, what's getting better for him mean? He just scored 42 points, but we do know that
on the road,
he's going to be better when March rolls around, and that's a scary thought because Fleming's is a stud, and he's quietly he's not entering the Peterson DeBanza conversation. That's going to be really hard to do, but he's quietly. As I monitor the mock drafts, he's getting himself in that lottery range, which would be really impressive. That's something Houston has kind of lacked over the past couple of years. In a similar way to Iowa State, you've got great college players, but who's going to be your guy that cracks into the NBA? And Fleming's, to me, looks like a 15-year NBA starter at guard. He's that special.
Yeah, and he does get lost in the shuffle a bit when you're talking about a guy like AJ or Darren from Kansas. So you're right. And he probably deserves to get a little bit more credit than what he's been given so far this season. And you're right. I think he is definitely going to be a guy that does get better. He's going to lead this team to a lot of wins down the stretch.
Well, good discussion on Texas Tech's win over Houston. Fantastic game in Lubbock. We moved to Provo for the Holy War. In this game, I mean, you have the stakes, you have the Holy War, important. But on paper, this shouldn't have been that interesting of a matchup. Utah just gave BYU a run for their money in Salt Lake City. You expected BYU to handle them in Provo, and they didn't really. This game was close throughout, and BYU was able to pull away late. This game, to me, comes down to AJ DeBanza. And that's where... When you're talking about DeBanza and Peterson, you were splitting hairs at this point, and you're going highlight for highlight, game for game. DeBanza took this game over, 43 points. This game was tied halfway through the second half. They go on a crazy run to take a big lead. It was never in doubt at the end, and it was all because of DeBanza. Literally all because of DeBanza. 15 of 24 from the field. 4 of 5 from 3, which has been if there's been a knock on him so far, it's the 3-point shot. If you're talking in NBA terms, yeah, it's easy to get to the cup on John Davis from wherever, from Long Beach State. How are you going to handle it in the NBA if you can't shoot? And that's coming along. AJ DeBanza, he's my beast of the week.
Of the week.
One of the better performances you'll see all year in college basketball, and somehow he wasn't the only guy to score 40 in the country on Saturday. A lot of talent right now in college basketball, but I'm not sure that there's anyone more talented than number 3 for BYU to do what he did in a rivalry game, in a game where Utah was hitting shots, man. They hit 13 threes. They shot 60% from 3. They didn't turn the ball over. That's how you hang in these rivalry games, regardless of where it's played, regardless if it's in Salt Lake City, if it's in Provo, if it's played on the Moon. The way that you hang in against a team that's better than you that you hate is to hit threes and don't turn the ball over. And Chris Williams gave us all bad advice, me and Coop, and had us take Utah Moneyline live. And even more so thought it'd be comfortable to take them to cover. And it seemed like a good bet. Like, we were locked into this game. And that's where it felt like this was a rivalry game that was heading down to the wire until Debanza took over, and he is more than worthy of my Beast of the Week.
Absolutely. To me, this one did have a little bit of a different feeling than that game in Salt Lake a couple weeks ago. And I forget that these teams actually just played 2 weeks ago because it seems yesterday. But in the game in Salt Lake City, I felt like Utah actually had a legitimate chance to win that game. I know it was close at times. I just didn't. BYU was not in control of this game. I felt very comfortable about them being in control and winning this game. And, the crowd was electric. Debanza was electric, who broke a BYU freshman scoring record with his 43 points there. Utah had just no answer for him whatsoever on the defensive side of the floor. And I guess really nobody does at this point, so good luck guarding them. And then on top of that, you got Wright chip in with 21. Richie Saunders chips in 12, Mr. Wright himself. And BYU did pull away in the second half of this one, largely because they shot the ball way better. Looking at the stat sheet, they shot 60% from the floor in the second half of that game. They went on that early run and never really looked back. And, credit to Utah. I thought they shot the ball really well as well, too. And Brown and Dawes showed up to play, and you mentioned they shot the ball well from three, but BYU was just too much to handle in Provo, especially you look at the play in the paint there. BYU had 48 in the paint compared to Utah's 13. They out-rebounded Utah by 15, and that crowd to me was just too much for BYU really not to win this game. And, now they get a big test coming up here on Monday, hosting the number one team in the country in Arizona. So that's a must-watch game for any college basketball fan.
I can't wait, and we'll get into that game a little bit more when we talk about Arizona coming up here. And the thing to me that's scary about BYU, they've been such a well-oiled machine for so long, and everybody knows how they're going to play. Everyone knows how they're going to move the ball. They're going to move the ball about as well as anyone in the country. And if you watch closely when they started the year, that changed a little bit, and it's natural because you're bringing in the number one recruit. You're bringing in a top 3 NBA draft pick, and things are different when you have that caliber of player. And I think this team took a while to adjust offensively how they're going to do that. They were still winning games. They still almost pulled off a remarkable win at UConn, but they didn't look like they were necessarily playing BYU basketball. And I don't think they've hit that ceiling yet. The good news for them is they're going to hit that. They are quickly learning how to do that. And once they hit that full stride, once you can get Saunders, Wright, Debanza all going on the same night, and then what you've got with Kebaketa down low for defensive purposes, BYU is good enough to win the national championship. And I don't think the analytics back it up right now yet. Like the analytics would more point to them being an Elite 8, Final Four type team. But if you go by the Bloom theory, which is you need at least 2, maybe 3 NBA players to win a national championship. I think with BYU, you can almost go, you just need 1.5 because Debanza is so good by himself that what you're getting out of Saunders, who, if you forget, was a first-team All-Big 12 player last year as the number one option. And he's taken a step back on purpose, and he's handed the keys to Debanza. You've still got that as well as Rob Wright, who's one of the better microwave scorers in the country. BYU's top 3 is really scary, and the more that they are able to figure out their bench, which would be my biggest concern, is how do you get consistency from that group? They are as good as anybody in America when they're on.
Yeah, I think out of these Big 12 teams, they might have one of the highest ceilings out of anybody out there because you're right. I think this team this team really could win it all if they play the right way, if they catch the hot, if they get hot at the right time. And you're right, I don't think they have figured it out yet. They're still going to be a team that's going to get better. They have not peaked yet by any means. So I think down the stretch of the month of February, we're going to find out a lot more about BYU. But you're right, I really, really like the makeup of this team. And it is hard when, a guy like AJ comes in as just the top, the number one player in the country. He's going to be your go-to guy. And for Saunders to take that step back and become more of a role player, I think that really will. Number one, it takes a lot of maturity for him to do that and be willing to do that for a guy like AJ. So, this team I think is really, really, really damn good, and they're fun as hell to watch too. I love watching them play basketball, especially of course they score a bunch of points, which is something I like. But I just really enjoy watching this team, and I'm excited for Monday's game.
The other aspect when it comes to March, I was talking with friend of the program, Coop, we got a special announcement regarding him. Be on the lookout for the coming weeks. But sorry, made myself laugh. But we were talking how you get into Game 7 of the NBA Finals, or you get in March. There's so much talk about analytics, and this is where I side with TJ Otzelberger for sometimes making fun of the analytic conversations and questions. Because you can have your KenPom rankings, and you can have your tempo, and you can have what's your per 100 possessions points. At the end of the day, when the game's on the line, when there's 2 minutes left, basketball becomes a who's soft, who's not. Can you stop me from getting a bucket? No, you can't. I'm going to go get a bucket. And that's where, when you have Debansa, it makes things so much easier for your team once it gets down to crunch time. And that, I think, leads very well into Kansas and their win over K-State without Darren Peterson, who's the similar type of guy. And their win over Kansas State is so encouraging to me because this is a team that's had to play without Peterson this year. And you hope for their sake they don't have to play without Peterson at all in the tournament, because they won't reach their ceiling without DP. That's the reality of it. But in his absence, you have clearly seen this team take steps on how to evolve their own roles. Melvin Council is maybe my favorite player in America to watch that's not a Cyclone. I adore watching Melvin Council play basketball. Trey White is becoming a role player that you can count on game in, game out. Flory Badunga continues to make impacts defensively. Kansas is figuring out how to have a team around Peterson that complements him. And it was all on display as they embarrass Kansas State in their own building. Oh man, where do we begin?
I think just, how about Kansas, man? How about the Jayhawks? Just when I and everybody else is ready to bury them 6 feet under, they have now won 4 straight. And did it on the road, against their rival without their star player, Darren Peterson. It reminds me kind of another team that we're going to talk about here in a minute with TCU, except Kansas actually just beat the shit out of their rival. And, without Peterson, Badinga stepped in, drops 21, El Marco Jackson chipped in 19, and they just stomped. Yeah, that explains exactly how this game went, especially in the second half. Kansas ended that game on a 27-7 run. And I know Kansas State was dealing with some injuries with Kamari and Moby out, but to get run out like that in the second half of your home floor, I can't believe that happened in a rivalry game without Darren Peterson. I expected Kansas State. Exactly. I expected Kansas State to put up a much better fight. And once again, PJ Haggerty is the only player on the floor for them that really can kind of keep them in these kind of games. And you look at Kansas State, they just shot the ball 34% from the field. Kansas dominated inside the paint, outside the paint, and I really don't know which team has it worse right now. We're probably going to talk about this later on the show too. Is Kansas State or is it Baylor? Which one of these teams has been more disappointing for you? Well, I know my answer because I'll say it later. But
I know which one's been funnier. It's the Kansas State Wildcats. I'd say Baylor has been more disappointing, and it's not even just a this year thing. For me, they've been
Yeah, that's
disappointing going back a few years, and it's built up to the point where at some point you have to stop doing what's not working. Because Baylor, for the last 3 years, you recruit super athletic wings that can't really defend, don't get stops, and it's all added up to this, to where you can't even beat TCU on your home floor. So I do think while Baylor is far more disappointing, I also understand the challenges that come with they're almost getting too much talent to their own detriment. Like, you win a national championship and you get in the ballpark, and it fascinates me with the Indiana Kurt Cignetti conversation. Like, once you enter another echelon, do you still try and win it with your 3 and 4 star guys, or do you go and get the 5-star guys? Because that's what changes with Baylor now. You win the national championship, you can get any recruit you want in the country, and you've been able to see that Drew hasn't put together those rosters quite the same as when he won the national championship. As far as Kansas State goes, they've also been well-resourced. Jerome Tang just doesn't know how to build a roster. He doesn't.
I think that's proven at this point. Yeah.
The year they made the Elite Eight, a lot of those were Bruce Weber's guys. And Tang, to his credit, when he had the roster in place, those guys adored him. And those guys played hard for him. And he still does deserve credit on making that Elite Eight run. He was the Naismith National Coach of the Year for a reason. But once he's been able to have the reins and bring in his own guys, he's not doing it. And he's not even really close to doing it either.
Yeah, again, you get run off home floor without, Darren Peterson for Kansas. I don't understand it at all. I don't get it. That is a game without Peterson that they should have been able to win at home. It's one thing if it's in Fog Island, but, to be at home and get outrun like that, really embarrassing. It was a really bad look for the program. And again, I'm sure we're going to keep talking about this as the year goes on, but that seat just keeps getting warmer and warmer and warmer as each game passes by.
So we'll move on in just a sec, but I feel like we got to talk about the extracurriculars that were involved in this game. So in the closing seconds, Kansas up 20. They poke the ball away. Looks like Bill Self is telling Trey White not to dunk it. He dunks it anyways. And I don't care. I love that stuff. It's a rivalry game. You go and beat your rival on their floor without your best player by 20. You do whatever you want. Melvin Council hits the Wabash at half court. Incredible. There's a bit of a dicey handshake between.
I thought it was funny.
A bit of a dicey handshake between Jerome Tang and Council. Tang himself had a flyby. That can certainly be expected. And then in the locker room, Aiden already played the video. I do want to play it again. Council's doing the belt. Yep. BTA in the locker room. But what I really want to focus on is when the camera pans to Bill Self. If you could pause it, Aiden, look at that smile. That is amazing.
Fun. Why not have? You just beat shit out of your rival.
That's the look of a coach that is trying to save face in public. Like, no, don't dunk, don't show him up. And deep down, he's like, dunk, show him up, embarrass him. And then you get in the locker room and do this. I love Bill Self, and with the recent health scare, and with how long he's been doing this, and the way he's been talking in some of his press conferences, you don't know when the last run is. Like, his comment last night after the game, and if there was more emotion involved in this win for him, and he said, yeah, I mean, to these players, they could be here just 1 year and play Kansas State once. If they lose to K-State, they don't really have to deal with it the rest of their lives. He's got to deal with it year in, year out. And to me, that seems like a coach that's soaking in these final memories, these final rivalry games. And I'm not saying he's going to be done this year, but with the health scares, I do think it's important to put in perspective how special of a coach Bill Self is. And I'm going to appreciate him every step of the way that he's here, because he is my favorite college basketball coach in the country that's not TJ Otzelberger or Fred Hoiberg. I adore Bill Self. I hope when Kansas comes to Hilton Coliseum and loses by 20 in a couple weeks, I hope that's not the last time I'm in a post-game press conference for Bill Self. But if it is, that should be the lasting image right there. Beating the living crap out of Jerome Tang in his building and celebrating with his guys.
It might be one of the last images for Jerome Tang there in his building.
I hope
Kansas,
not.
So
I hope they give him a lifetime contract. The Iowa Wild are having a meet and greet with some guy named Brad Banks, whoever that is. Do you actually know who Brad Banks is, Duke?
Not until I just read that thing
yeah,
where
it's on the graphic.
The
Okay.
former. It is on the graphic, so no, I did not know who Brad Banks was.
No, so I was being sarcastic. He was Heisman runner-up back in 2002 when Iowa almost ran the table. Almost. And they probably would have played for a national championship, but they lost to Iowa State. Regardless, you should go and check out the Iowa Wild. Friday, January 30th, it's a meet and greet with Brad Banks. You'll have autographs, you'll have a photo op, and of course a ticket to the game. I was talking with some friends at the Game Watch that we had in the CF studios the other day that through my time at Local 5 and just growing up in Des Moines, I've been to so many minor league sporting events. I really don't think anyone does it better than the Wild. As far as game day from puck drop to leaving, the Wild are pretty top-notch when it comes to minor league sports in America. So go and check out the Iowa Wild on Friday, January 30th for your meet and greet with Brad Banks. Even if you're a Cyclone fan, it can be, I'm sure that enough times pass where he'll be able to talk shop and have a little fun with the rivalry, even if you're a Cyclone.
Are you going to get an autograph or a picture? Are you going to get your Hawkeye jersey signed by him or what?
I could take the Cade McNamara jersey from the CF Studios in there, get it signed. Two Hawkeye legends.
That'd be fun.
Two Hawkeye legends. Or the Deacon Hill swim trunks. Mr. Banks, would you please sign these collector items?
Deacon Hill.
Oh,
you probably would. Yeah.
Iowa Wild, great partners with us here at Iowa everywhere. The Iowa State Cyclones are back on track. They roll Oklahoma State. I'm not going to talk about the second half at all. I think that discourse became very tiresome. If you watch the Cyclone Fanatic post-game show, you could already tell that. To me, what I take away from this game is it's back-to-back games where Iowa State's figured out how to start games and how to take the other team out of it as soon as the game starts. And they end up, they play horrible in the second half. They still go up and beat Oklahoma State in Stillwater 84-71. What were your takeaways from the Cyclones winning that game?
I think it's just kind of funny that we've all been bitching about the starts of their games, and the last couple times they've started out great, and then now you get the second half where they play just absolutely terrible. So it's kind of been like a flip-flop for them. But, I will say that it's a good thing you didn't go to Stillwater because your ass probably would have been stuck on there. But, this game, simple as fast start, slow finish. Iowa State just beat the shit out of Oklahoma State in the first half. Had a 30-point lead at halftime. 30 points. It wasn't even close in the first half.
It should have been 40 if they could grab a freaking rebound at some point, man.
Yeah, I know. But they opened the game with, a 23-4 run, and then closed the first half going on a 14-2 run to go up by 30. And yes, the second half was extremely frustrating to watch because you're just watching the lead shrink and shrink and shrink. But, Oklahoma State, I will give them some credit for not just rolling over and dying, but Iowa State definitely needed to do a better job of closing that one out. But it was great to see, Joshua Jefferson continue to play well. Milan once again just goes off 29 points. You just got to finish better. The second half was it was sloppy. It had some turnovers in there, but I will say at the end of the day, you go on the road, you win by 13 on the road in the Big 12. That's not really a bad day at the office. If you did watch that game from start to finish, it definitely was a little bit frustrating to watch.
Yeah, and Oklahoma State's a very well-coached team. I think Steve Lutz is absolutely the guy for that job, and that to me was shown even in a loss in the second half to be able to get your guys to go out there, rally, fight, and make the game respectable. My Carbless Refreshing Take of the Week, presented by the premium handcrafted cocktails of Carbless. My favorite's cranberry. Lemon is very refreshing. I'm going ice fishing next weekend, finally. I can't wait.
All right.
And I'll probably have a carbless or two, but then be dreaming of how good it'll feel to have a carbless once it's warm out and on the boat on the lake instead of ice fishing. But either way, carbless is a great drink the entire year, but it's even more special when it's warm out. It's so refreshing. We appreciate Carbless for their sponsorship here on Iowa Everywhere. And my refreshing take, kind of similar to the BYU conversation that I just had. What does it take to make a Final Four? What does it take to win a national championship? And it's having NBA players. Right now, there's not an answer for Milan Momcilovic. He's the best shooter in America. He's one of the best shooters that has ever played the sport of college basketball. He is on another level that I don't think it's unrealistic to expect it to keep up. I don't think it's going to keep up at this exact rate. That's really hard to do. But dude, I've watched his pregame warm-ups. He does not miss. He truly, like Nate Heisey a couple weeks ago was asked what's the craziest workout he's seen. And he said that, yeah, there's been several times that he's seen Milan go 90 of 100. And this is not catch and shoot. His pregame warm-ups, he has 4 managers just following him around, getting on his hip, trying to close out, trying to hit his hip, trying to almost foul him, pretty much foul him. And he's doing those shooting workouts and making 90 out of 100. It is unbelievable the level that he's on right now, and he's an absolute cheat code. As long as Iowa State can do the little things, can end possessions, not turn the ball over, which I think they proved in the first half that that's who they are more so than the second half. And as long as they can create some easy opportunities the other way, you've got Jefferson, a lottery pick potentially, and Momcilovic, a first-round NBA draft pick. You've got 2 players that will be, if I had to place money on it, they'll be playing in NBA rotations next year. Iowa State absolutely has the pieces to go head-to-head with anybody in March. And if Momcilovic continues to play the level that he's playing, they can absolutely beat anybody on any given night. And we saw that with how they handled Purdue in their building by 20.
Yeah, and the good news is that the month of January is almost over too, which is the notorious month for the struggles. So we're about to enter a new month for Iowa State. So hopefully this upcoming month is going to be a whole lot smoother than this past one here.
I'm going to the game as a fan on Thursday, believe it or not. It'll be my first time as a fan at Hilton Coliseum this year.
They play on Thursday?
Yeah, it's weird. They're Thursday, Sunday this week.
Oh.
So we're going to have to, oh man, the show next week is going to be interesting because I'll be driving down to Manhattan. I don't even think I'm staying. I think I'm going to and from Manhattan that day. Who knows? Maybe we'll do bigger than 12 from the Octagon of Gloom. We'll see.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
That'll be more of a conversation for off air. But Iowa State takes on Colorado Thursday. Arizona rolls again over West Virginia. They do what they keep doing to these middle-of-the-pack Big 12 schools. Just take their souls, embarrass them, and send them home crying. I mean, there's nothing else, and I'm so glad that this stretch is done, because listen to this stretch. Granted, they played at Central Florida. That was a tough game. But their first 7 Big 12 games, Utah, Kansas State, TCU, Arizona State, Central Florida, Cincinnati, West Virginia. Truth be told, I'm ready to see them play BYU Monday night. Because to say they've not been battle tested is false, because they had the best non-conference resume of anybody in college basketball by beating Florida, UConn, embarrassing Auburn, embarrassing Alabama, even beating San Diego State, all super impressive. But they have not been tested to the level of most Big 12 teams so far. And we're going to see that full-fledged Monday night in Provo. And I am so excited for that game. Probably the most excited I've been for a Big 12 game all year.
It's probably the biggest Big 12 game so far up to date. But yeah, not a ton to take away for this game for me. Arizona was a heavy favorite coming in. They just took care of business against West Virginia. You know, I don't think Arizona just played lights out offensively, but I was really impressed with the way they played defensively. I mean, they held West Virginia to 30% from the floor, 27% from behind the arc. Dominated in the paint, and rebounding as well. I mean, they just won that game in every single phase, and that's why they won by 35. Still undefeated, Still the number one team in the country, but you're right. At this point, we're just all looking ahead to that BYU game on Monday.
Yeah, I didn't plan on talking about what they did to West Virginia at all. I'm more so.
No.
And let me pull up, see what Kenneth has their projected line at. Got Arizona favored by 2 on the road. So if I had to guess, Vegas will have that right around 1.5, maybe even down to a pick-em. It's about as good as it gets. That's a calendar clear for me. I don't have plans Monday night, and if I did, I'm canceling them because I'm going to be planted on my couch to check out that game. I cannot wait for that. We won't really be able to react to it because our next show will be so far away, but I'll have plenty of opportunities to talk about it on Cyclone Fanatic, and you'll be able to talk about it in the Big 12 Buzz that comes out. Cyclone Fanatic, your column, so look forward to that. TCU handles Baylor on the road. Man, we already spent a little bit of our Baylor conversation earlier, so I probably want to focus a little more just on TCU beating Baylor for the second time this year. That has not happened a lot when Scott Drew's been the head coach at Baylor. And I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. I was not surprised at all when I watched TCU go into Waco and make it look pretty easy.
Yeah, this game was back and forth in the first half. Ended up being actually tied before TCU kind of started separating themselves in the second. Jaden Pierre had a career-high 25 for the Frogs, and 14 of his 25 came in the final 20 minutes there. Plus, it did help that Xavier Edmonds had a big performance as well. But, God dang, man. I don't know how much you watch this. There were just so many fouls in this game where it was almost kind of tough to sit through at some point. I mean, there were 79 free throw attempts in this game and 54 fouls. It was just a total ref show, and it really didn't need to be. I know sometimes things can be a little bit chippy in a rivalry game, but I don't think there was a need to blow the whistle that many damn times. But I will say this for TCU, to win without their star David Punch on the road in Waco, that was a solid win for the Frogs to pick up their third win in Big 12 play. So I was very impressed with the way TCU did handle themselves on the road.
Baylor. Oh, wait. Gosh, I forgot my Freedom Tire for Arizona. I already shared it. It was the schedule. I was just ready to see them play a good team. So Freedom Tire, locations spread across the metro, because I know you're getting into your Freedom Tire with Baylor. So my Freedom Tire, who needs a fix? Locations in Altoona, Ames, Des Moines, West Des Moines, Urbandale. FreedomTire.com. They do it all. It is insanely cold. It is too cold out for our cars to operate. Our cars were not made to operate in this type of weather. So it's really important to make sure that you've got everything working right in your engine. So check out Freedom Tire, get your oil changed there, and they'll take care of you. And yeah, my who needs a fix, I already shared it. I was just ready for Arizona to go play a new team, and that's about the extent of it. How about you?
Aiden, just leave that damn graphic up. So Baylor is going to be my Freedom Tire who needs a fix, probably for the second or third time this year, because
it's been a lot.
They've needed a visit to Freedom Tire for because they might be at the point where they're beyond repair here. So I was worried about this stretch. I talked about last week on the show. I was worried about this stretch they have upcoming, and I think it's now officially time to just hit the damn panic button on the season. You fall to 1-6 in conference play. They do have somewhat of a favorable schedule coming up, but they do all have to go to 2 road games to Cincinnati and Morgantown, which really now become must-win games at this point, because you know who they have to play after that? They've got Colorado, Iowa State, and BYU. So I think looking at their schedule, they're going to have to win at least 4 or 5 out of their next 6. And this team's got soul searching to do, because they've got to really figure it out quickly before this season goes down the drain. Who knows? Maybe it already has at this point, because you're starting to get into a point in the season where it's almost too late to make a comeback, because you've already dug yourself so far deep in a hole. So I don't know if this team can come back. I'm not confident that this team's going to come back, and we've already talked about it many, many times on this show, but they just don't look like a tournament team at all right now.
No.
Not even close.
And the problem is they did nothing in the non-conference. Nothing. They didn't have a single quality win outside of San Diego State and Creighton are okay wins, but those can't be your marquee wins. Those especially can't be your marquee wins if you start 1-6 in Big 12 play. And so with what they did in the non-con, you're setting up, you probably need to win 10 games in league play to get to the tournament. That would mean you finish the season 9-2 with road games.
That's not happening.
At Iowa State, at Houston, a home game against Arizona. I don't see how that happens. The good news is they have a weird game against Louisville sandwiched in there. I don't really know why. I don't know why that game's being played on Valentine's Day. So that is a bonus. If you could win that game, there is a little chip that you could have, but it's going to take a lot of work, like a lot of work to get back in the mix. And I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think by this time next week when we're recording, we'll probably already know how the season's end for Baylor, because
got to win the next 3.
Lose these next 2 games, I mean, they're done. Yeah,
I got a question.
They'll be
for
done
you.
by next week if they don't do something.
I got a question for you. People doubted me, but I found a way to bring up Dave Aranda on January 25th. Who coaches at Baylor longer, Dave Aranda or Scott Drew?
It's got to be Scott Drew.
I think so,
right.
But I do think Drew's not going to get fired. That's not going to happen.
No, you can't.
But he was flirting with Louisville a couple years ago when that opened. I wonder if this is a year where a decent college basketball job opens up somewhere else. Not a blue blood or anything like that. But if I'm thinking around college basketball, say, oh man,
Kansas State.
Yeah, say Izzo retires this year or something like that. I don't know if they'd hire Drew at this point, just with what the past few years have looked like. But it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if Scott Drew saw this offseason as an opportunity to go start fresh somewhere. And the old Batman saying you'd rather die a hero than live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And he's never going to be the villain in Waco. And if there is a guy to get them out of this rut, it's Scott Drew. He's someone who has proven time and time again to adapt and get out of holes and all that stuff. But you do just wonder, knowing that he has flirted in the past couple of years with leaving, if this is the offseason where he sees that, yeah, this is probably broken a little bit beyond repair. I think it'd be easier to go start new somewhere else. Just food for thought. But I'd agree with you. I think Aranda's probably the first one to go. All that devil's advocate.
Yeah, we don't need to talk
for
about
nothing.
Dave Aranda anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, we're already at 50 minutes, and we've still got a couple games to go. Central wins out in Boulder. Good win. And I'm going to make a declaration. The Big 12 needs Central Florida bad. They need Central Florida to continue to win games like this. Because right now, with what you're seeing out of Baylor, they're out of the tournament picture. TCU, I full-heartedly believe that they are good enough to be in the tournament. But their resume does not back it up right now. They've got some bad losses. They're going to have to make a run to make the NCAA tournament. As of right now, when you go outside of the top 6, Central Florida is the Big 12's best bet at having that 7th team. So they, so far, have won an away game at K-State, at Colorado, 2 of the bottom teams in the league. They beat Cincinnati and Kansas at home. They get Arizona. They get Tech at home this week. The Big 12 needs them to keep winning games. And if they make the tournament, I will refer to them as UCF. How about that, Johnny Dawkins?
I mean,
a little incentive.
You might already. I mean, I guess that's true. I didn't really think about it. I probably need to look at the Big 12 as a whole and kind of group these teams because, we love to talk about our top 5, who's in the top 6, those kind of things. But you're right. it does get a little dicey after that, and we're not going to have 10 teams from the Big 12 make the tournament this year. That's just not going to happen. You know, we've seen it before where the Big 12 gets a bunch of teams in, but I just don't feel, you're right, the depth of this conference, especially once you get out of that top tier, isn't as good as it has been in years past. So that is a very interesting point I think you bring up there.
I think the bottom is as strong as any of the other leagues, like bottom tier teams, but the middle class is it's weak.
Not great.
The middle class, it leans closer to the lower class than it does the top. And that's what makes it important for UCF to win all these games, because they can be that middle class team. That they could be the Big 12's only 8 seed in the tournament, because right now at this rate, you're looking at your top 6 teams all being top 5 seeds in the NCAA tournament. And if math does its part, you should be looking at least 4 Sweet 16 teams, if not all 6 of those teams making the Sweet 16. So what you've got between the top 6 is you've got, I would say, 5 teams that can make a Final Four. Honestly, Kansas, they can make a Final Four if Darren Peterson's healthy. So you've got 6 teams that can make a Final Four. But you're probably looking at 7 or 8 teams in the tournament. And I think 8 would be hard to do right now. I would probably put it at 7.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
A lot rides on UCF to not collapse, because if they collapse, then I don't really know where that 7th team comes from, unless TCU can keep stacking up some impressive wins.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. That's 100% true. But, at the end of the day, I'd rather have multiple teams that can win it all than no team that can win it all, even if it means getting less teams in the tournament.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll not spend too much time on this. Arizona State wins the Hot Seat Bowl between Wes Miller and Bobby Hurley. I don't think either of these guys will be coaching their respective programs next year, but ASU won a pretty fun one, all things considered. Mo Odom is probably my favorite college basketball player that doesn't get talked about enough. Electric guard for Arizona State. I've probably tweeted about him a handful of times this year while watching at ungodly hours. Good win for Arizona State, and they've, I don't know. Cincinnati looked to be playing better, and they didn't really show up that great on Saturday night.
No, Odom dropped 33 in this game. Yeah, he's really, really fun to watch, especially if you're up late night watching the Big 12, want to watch some Big 12 basketball. He's a great player, but this was a must-win for both teams, but, and they both have some tough games ahead. You look at Cincy, they got to play Houston later this week, and then ASU gets Arizona, and they go to Orlando as well. So 2 teams that have some really tough roads ahead of them, and you're right, neither one of these teams we're going to be talking about in a month from now making the NCAA tournament. I think at this point, you're right, probably change is needed. So we're kind of just getting through this season kind of as quickly as we can here with these 2.
Aiden, come on in with the Iowa trivia question. Aiden and I enjoyed some hibachi last night.
Yeah, it was
courtesy of the kingpin of Central Iowa media, Chris Williams. Appreciate C-Dub.
Media empire. Yep. All right. This candy bar consists of 2 round, chewy, cherry-flavored nougat coated with a mixture of chopped peanuts and chocolate. So think chocolate ball, cherry filling. That's what we're working with. It is one of Sioux City's quintessential treats. That's where it's based out of. So that's why it's a little famous.
I only know one candy like that. I think it's called like a cherry mash.
No.
I don't know if that's it. That's the only one I know that I eat that has cherries. It's called like cherry mash.
I'm blanking on this. I feel like I'll feel dumb when I hear it, but
I have no idea.
Can you buy it?
I'd eat the shit out of that candy, though.
Can you buy it in a gas station, or is this
Absolutely.
more?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I got nothing.
It's Twin Bang.
I've never seen that
Twin
in my
Bang?
life.
Oh my gosh, you guys gotta try them. They're so good.
So if I go down to the
I just don't know about the peanut in that.
If I go down to the local filling station right now, I can find that.
I would guess, yeah. They're in most places.
What the? I have never seen that in my... And trust me, I've delved into the candy section from time to time.
Have you guys ever had, like, no-bake cookies? Where it's like...
Yeah, they look like protein balls.
That's kind of the consistency of it, and it's really good.
I'm going to go try it.
No. Give me a cherry. You need to try a cherry mash. I don't know about that. The peanuts in that thing throw
Is
it
that
off.
pretty similar? Or what's a cherry mash?
Maybe it's like a southern thing. I don't know. You never heard of a cherry mash? It's kind of the same thing, but I don't think it has peanuts in it.
Hey, it's not our fault we can handle some nuts up here in Iowa.
Yeah.
Can
Sure
drive on the road when
nuts.
we can drive on the road when there's ice. Our entire economy doesn't shut down because of a little sleet. Aiden, next time if you see one of those in a gas station, bring them into the studio. If I don't find one before. Thank you.
Got it.
Send me a package of them too. While you're at it.
Nah, you don't need to
I'll try it. I'll try just about anything.
Are you coming up for the listener party? End of February?
I don't know yet, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I really don't.
Okay. I just thought about it. I hadn't asked you yet. Well, if you
Thanks
do.
for asking me on air in front of everybody. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Aiden, cut that out, I guess. Nah, you don't need to.
Putting me on the friggin' spot.
He's day to day. We don't know if he'll be able to get to the airport.
Yeah.
We don't know if he'll be able to get to the
We're
airport.
all day to day
day-to-day.
if you think about it.
The roads still might be frozen by then. But if you do come up,
Well, it's just
hope you do.
We just don't have anything to clear them out.
Yeah, I know. I'm
I don't wanna
making
be
fun of
stuck
you,
in my-
but
I don't want to be
it
stuck
actually
in my
sucks.
house.
It'd be like if we got hit by a hurricane. We would know what to do.
Yeah. The last time I remember everybody talks about freeze, it's because, what was it, 5 years ago now? I was stuck inside my house for about 3 or 4 days with no water and no power. So I was living like life back in the 1800s. Except for the fact that occasionally we go to the vehicle and charge your phone and warm up a little bit, but lighting our gas stove here, keeping warm. So it was certainly an interesting time. Played a lot of board games, which don't do very often, but no, that's why everybody gets the fear of God in them when you hear ice or storm.
That does not sound like a good time at all.
No, it's terrible. It's awful.
I do know it.
I know it
Sounds like a
does
good
sound like a good time. I do
Whiskey
too.
River.
Say it. Tell the folks. Oh, so good.
Good time, Aiden? Is it?
Looking for a good time? Thought so. Whiskey River is just the place. We've got the booze, the food, the vibe, and the amazing rooftop patio. The only thing missing is you. Whiskey River.
I was getting worried there. I was starting to think that Whiskey River might not be a good time anymore, but
You guys just kept
isn't.
going. I thought you were going to keep talking.
No, it's in fact a good time. Whiskey River locations in Ankeny and in Ames. Ben Hutchins just texted me. So his twin brother Sam is in town, and they're for some reason heading to Iowa City. I don't know why anyone would ever go there, but said, "What's a spot we could meet in Ankeny? Because I want to meet his twin brother Sam." And you know exactly where I recommended. Whiskey River in Ankeny. I think that's where we're going to go. I can't wait to watch the NFC Championship, enjoy a great burger, some cold beer. You should go do the same.
Not the
Whiskey
AFC?
River in Ankeny or in Ames. Well, Ben's a Broncos fan, so I get it. I don't want to watch my team with other people, and that's a lock yourself in the room and watch the game. What? Why do you look so confused?
Boy, I have a lot of. I've never heard of that, but I mean, I guess as a Cowboys fan, you probably lock yourself in a lot of places, I imagine.
Yeah, I lock myself in a psych ward every single time the Cowboys play before I lose my last bit of sanity.
That sounds about right.
Well, Whiskey River brings us our basketball power rankings every week. Mine are pretty similar to last week. I just flipped Texas Tech and Houston. Power rankings are that this is not who I think's the best team. It's more so, for me, merit based on what have teams done for me lately. And Texas Tech Houston should be a wash. If the game was played at Houston yesterday and the one was played at Tech 2 weeks ago and they both won their respective home games, I'd probably have Houston above them. But Tech won yesterday, so they eke out the 2 spot for me. Houston 3, BYU remains at 4, and Kansas, they've not lost since they beat the Iowa State Cyclones, so they still remain in the top 5 for me.
Yeah, mine's not going to look a lot different from what I had last week. I did flip-flop Texas Tech and Houston as well. So I've got Arizona number 1, clear as day there. Texas Tech number 2 now with that win over Houston. So I do push Houston down there to 3. BYU at 4, kept them right in that same spot. Same thing with Iowa State. I know probably could have put Kansas in last week, but I kept the Cyclones in my top 5. And then, of course, with that win over Oklahoma State on Saturday, I'm going to leave them there at my number 5. But again, if you want to put Kansas there, I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Kansas is playing good basketball right now. Some would say good basketball. I don't think you... never mind.
That joke, if that was a joke, that went...
I was making fun of myself.
Over my head if that was a joke.
You thought I was going to say pedestrian, and I'm not going to call Kansas pedestrian because they're not pedestrian right now. They're playing well.
No,
football.
They're playing good.
Football. We had some news. The Big 12 championship was moved up to Friday.
Ugh.
We haven't talked about this on the show, right? I'm trying to even remember when that came out. I don't think we have.
No. The schedule came out Wednesday.
Yeah, so we definitely haven't had
Wednesday, and then
we haven't had a show since the schedule. But I had a little birdie inside the Big 12 offices tell me that they moved it to Friday per request of Jimmy Rogers. Take that as you will.
Yeah, I think your little birdie must be way off. No, I feel like this is our first time talking about it on the show, but I have been writing about the schedule. I feel like just nonstop over at Cyclone Fanatic and then over at Heartland College Sports. But the whole Friday thing, it feels cheap. To me, it feels a little cheap because I'm so used to having the Pac-12, and then you get those group of 5 schools playing on Friday night. You saw Tulane last year playing on Friday night. They like to play their conference games on the Friday night. No, it's something about Championship Saturday where I feel like all the Power 4 teams should be playing on Saturday, and that early window for the Big 12 on ESPN kind of starts your day off. That kind of just kicks things off for you for the rest of the day. I thought it was just a really good spot to be in. For some reason, I guess the Big 12, ESPN, whoever felt the need to change to Friday night, which for me it's tougher because I do travel. Go to the game every single year, so it is a lot harder for me to go on Friday night compared to Saturday because now I got to take a day off of work or try to get off early. So for me, it's a pain in the ass, but also for the fans too. I mean, usually you can travel on Friday night, you can travel on Friday, but now you got to travel on Thursday. Yeah. So you're having to spend extra time, extra money. I don't get the move. I don't get the appeal. Like during the season, when the college football slate is filled on a Saturday and there's a bunch of big games from the Big Ten, the SEC, like that's when the Big 12 should be wanting to play big games, is on Friday night. I've been pounding the table for that for years, that we can draw eyeballs on Friday night simply because there's nothing else going on Friday night outside of your local high school playing football. So I think the opportunity for eyeballs has always been there. You don't need to do that on championship weekend, on championship Saturday. There's no need for you to move to Friday night. If you want to do anything on Friday night, start putting some more games on. Put at least one Big 12 game on every single week on Friday night. I don't care what game it is. Put at least one game on Friday night.
No, I completely agree, and I do think they're heading that way. It seemed like more weeks than not this past season there was a pretty good game on Friday night. So I hope they continue to lean into that. I'm with you. I don't love the championship being played on a Friday night. It doesn't feel as unique. And I know the Pac-12 used to play theirs on a Friday night too, so it's not uncommon for.
And where's the Pac-12 at right now?
Fair point.
Where are they at right now?
Fair point. So it's not that uncommon for a team to do that, and I don't know. Are they going to slide the ACC probably into that 11 a.m. slot, I would imagine? Or does Fox want to play their Big Ten championship at noon or on their big noon kickoff? I don't know what it'll look like, but either way, I don't love it. for a lot of the same reasons you made. The travel, it just, I feel like you take out that the vibes in Texas Live that Friday night before Iowa State played Arizona State was about as immaculate as possible. And you I feel like you take that away when you go to play a Friday night because it won't be the same on a Thursday night. And granted, you'll have all day Friday to have that as you lead up to the game. But to me, I think it's a miss. But I would guess this probably wasn't a Big 12 decision. This, to me, seems more like a network decision. But who knows?
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, like the Big 12 is one of the few conference championship games that actually, like, legitimately have a playoff spot on the line. Because you watch the SEC, you watch the Big 10, both teams playing in that game are already locks to get in, pretty much no matter what. I think the only one that wasn't was the ACC game with Miami, or was it Duke? And I don't remember who played the game, Virginia? That was like the only other game that really didn't have any.
You mean the ACC basketball
because,
championship? Duke and Virginia?
Yeah, I know. It sure seems like that, but I don't know. For the Big 12, I think it is by far the most important conference championship game out there in college football right now. And then to put it on Friday night, it just feels cheap to me.
Completely agree. Well, this has been a good show. Got some rants in, as always, here in the Channel Seed Studios. Makes it fun. We'll be back next week at some point. We'll have to make a decision on that. We'll see. We'll be back at some point.
You'll be putting belt to ass. You'll be putting belt to ass on Kansas State on the floor there. If Iowa State wins, you're going to take off your belt and do it mid-floor?
I'll go up.
Mid-court there?
I'll go up in the stands like Jerome and
there you
do
go.
it with the students. Oh, the gift that keeps on giving. Never change, Mr. Jerome Tang. This has been Bigger Than 12 here in the Channel Seed Studios. Thanks to WealthCharter Retirement Planning and Tax. We'll be back next week.